Hey everybody. We had an event, Zoom wave. We had an event at our house on Saturday, and Avery had reached out wanting us to do a Prayercast about the event. You may see kids like come run through the back of our video. Sorry about that. We're trying to sneak it in. And so we had a voter registration event at our house on our front porch on Saturday. We had the idea for it about 4 or 5 months ago.
You had the idea.
I had the idea about 4 or 5 months ago to do it because we live on the west side and a lot of people don't have like good access to like printing or technology or transportation, so it's not always the easiest thing to easily get registered to vote or to do an absentee ballot. We also had voter rights restoration, which we learned a lot, and it was really interesting to learn some new stuff about that. But yeah, so Mike has a story he's going to tell you that happened on Saturday.
So this was about the voter rights restoration. So for those of you who don't know, in 2017, a law passed in Alabama that opened up voting for people who had felony convictions, who had had their voting rights taken away by the state. They were given back to a lot of them, and there was a specific, so for most felony convictions, you were fine, you could register again with no paperwork.
Restoration.
And then there was a list of usually more violent crimes that required some restoration paperwork, but then you could also get back the voting rights you deserve. And so we had all set up to have that at this event, and the person who was the expert couldn't make it at the last minute. And luckily, the down the street neighbor that we had just met in the neighborhood had done this in the past, and I texted her and was like, hey, could you come help us real fast? And she came and gave us a crash course. And that's where we learned all about this. I didn't know that like most people with felony convictions can already register to vote without any paperwork and all of this. So fast forward a few hours later during the event, this person shows up with their sort of 18, 19-year-old daughter to register. And they say, oh, voter rights registration, that's what I'm here for, I need that. And I was like, okay, we need to know what your conviction is to see what it is, if it's on the list or not. And they said it was a drug possession or something like that from like the 1990s. And that's not on the list. Like, this person could have been registered to vote since 2017. This person hadn't had their ability to vote since the 90s. And it was just very cool to be able to say, actually, you can walk right over there and register. And
so can your child.
And so can your child. And they walked away pretty excited to turn out in November. So it was just a really cool moment to see this on a very kind of individual, personal level.
Yeah. And it really made us think about, like, in the past, like 7-8 months, like really we've had to learn to be really creative. We've had to learn to kind of keep our head on swivel for new and unique opportunities, because the world suddenly is a very, different place because of the pandemic, but also has a lot of the same fun issues that it's had for a very long time. But the pandemic really makes us have to seek new ways to serve and seek new ways to kind of help meet our needs, but also the world's needs. And this was a way we kind of were like, hey, we'll do this on the front porch. It'll be really easy. It'll be a really unique thing. And we've had to do that a lot of times, where we find like creative ways to do different things in the world. And so really just want to encourage everybody to keep looking around for ways where you can use whatever you have to be that for somebody else in the world, and to use your gifts in the way that you see as a possibility in this brave new world that we're living in right now. And Mike had another really good takeaway that I thought was great.
Well, one of the kind of, I guess, like things we say to each other a lot as we're thinking about this stuff is there's in Acts, the book of Acts, in chapter 15, there's this council at Jerusalem where all the early church leaders are getting together to try to figure out how to do a church. And what we love about it is there's this line in the letter they send out to all the Christians, these new Christians, is like, it seems good to us and to the Holy Spirit. Like, not we were told, not the hand of God came down,
not there was a burning bush,
no tower of smoke, no audible voice, just it seems good to us and the Holy Spirit. And I think that's been really freeing for us. Is like we have an idea, like why don't we use the front porch for a voter registration drive at a house that people live in? That seems weird, but it seems good to us and the Holy Spirit. And so I think a lot of times you can use that as a way to think about like what launched the entire church was
Right.
just kind of thinking about what seemed like the best idea at the time and experimenting and going with it and kind of letting go of whatever fruits come out of it, but knowing it was an opportunity.
Right. And with that goes, like, I tend to be like anxious about like, am I going to look stupid, or am I educated enough in this area, or am I going to say something dumb, or am I going to offend somebody? And instead, I think get out there, and as long as you're working in a really good way and your intentions are good, I think you should get out there and use whatever you have to help make the world a better place, because Lord knows we need it right now more than ever, I think. Yeah.
So the latest thing, we're going to use this opportunity, the latest thing that seemed
Yes.
good to us and to the Holy Spirit, and also has to do with voting stuff, is there's a similar law about voter registration in Florida, except it applies to anyone in the state of Florida with a felony conviction. And before they can get their voting rights restored, they have to pay off all the fines and fees, which averages between $500 and $1,000 per person. So it's basically a poll tax.
Yeah.
This is something that we found out about this week from a friend, and we're very interested in working on. So if you go to either my Facebook page or Emily's Facebook page,
Yes.
we have a place where you can donate to a fund that all the money goes to paying people's fines and fees so they can get registered to vote.
Right.
It's a quick thing that needs to happen in the next week or so that everyone has time to get things paid off and receipts and then registered. But
Their deadline is October 5th,
right,
to register.
yes.
So we gotta
So
get
we've
on it.
both pledged to try to raise $1,000 each, which would be, that's like the equivalent of 4 people if we each raise $1,000. That could be able to be registered. And check out our Facebook pages for each of us, our profiles. It's a public post. You can find it right there, or shoot us an email if you can't find it,
Yeah,
and we'll point
for
you to
sure.
there. But yeah, that's it.
And vote.
And think about what seems
about what
good
you
to
can do.
you and to the Holy Spirit.
Yes. Very
All right.
good. All
Bye,
right.
y'all.
Miss y'all. Bye.